What's up, guys? Hope you enjoyed that presentation that I did a couple weeks ago. I'm trying to do better with getting more consistent with my postings because I still got a ton of stuff to share with you. But today I want to talk to you about. I've talked to you in the past about when it comes to dealing with. It could be friends, family, relatives, could be coworkers, could be depending on whoever you're dealing with. It could be a spouse even. But there's one particular personality disorder that I wanted to talk about because I've had to deal with a few of these during my career, and likely if you own a business, you're going to have to deal with them at one point or another too. And so I wanted you to start recognizing some of the symptoms of this particular personality disorder because it's been my experience, and I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about, and you've experienced the same thing. Is no matter how many times you talk to them, no matter how many times you try to push them up, pick them up, whatever, you just can't. They're just not willing to accept it. They're not willing to make any changes. They're not willing to do any deep inner work to fix whatever's happened to them, to that caused them to become what they are today. It's really sad because these people, they have the potential. Like, I always see a lot of potential in people, and I see the potential in myself too. And it's I get mad at myself for not doing as much as all the time. And it's something that it's just a constant work in motion. We always have to be working on ourselves to get better and to do better and so we can improve our lives and improve the people's lives around us, because I think most people are good people, but there's a personality disorder that's narcissistic. And this is something that's like a dangerous type of personality. I feel I've dealt with a few, and despite how much coaching that was delivered to these people, there is like, they just won't change. That's been my experience, because until they look in the mirror and start seeing accepting responsibility for their wins and their losses, and really being real with reality. That's another thing that I found is they're really out of touch with reality. And I'm not a psychologist, so I can't wrap my head around it. It's really a weird personality disorder, but I want to talk about symptoms. That's my screen pulled up here. Psychotherapy is what they recommend for people with this disorder and I think it's something that it can't just be a one and done deal. It's got to be ongoing until they fix whatever is going wrong with this disorder, to make them feel this way or believe this way. But here's some of the symptoms. And the severity of the symptoms vary, but they have an exaggerated sense of self-importance. They have a sense of entitlement and require constant excessive admiration. That's a really big one, like that I've noticed. They expect to be recognized as superior even without achievements that warrant it. That's a big one. They may get really angry, which we'll talk about. That's one of the symptoms. They get really angry with somebody who makes a mistake, and they have an inability to show empathy for somebody making a mistake when they made the same mistakes when they were learning, or they've made the same mistakes recently in their life, but they never take responsibility for it. So they exaggerate achievements and talents. They're preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty of the perfect mate. I think primarily when you're dealing in a business setting, it's probably success and power. They believe that they're superior and can only associate with equally special people. They monopolize conversations and belittle or look down on people that they perceive as inferior. They expect special favors and unquestioning compliance with their expectations. That's a big one. Like, you're going to do it this way, and that's the highway. That type of mentality. Anytime somebody goes the different direction, they cannot see that they can't put themselves in the shoes of that person for that particular situation. Take advantage of others to get what they want, have an inability or unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings of others. That is huge. And that's one that I've really, that exists, like this personality disorder like no other. This is a real problem for these type of people. They cannot put themselves in somebody else's shoes. And so there's a failure to have any empathy or to feel sorry for anybody. They're envious of others, and they believe others envy them. I know with certain situations that we've dealt with, they really feel like they're really looked up to by everybody, when in all reality, everybody they don't like being around them, which we'll get to. That's part of it. They behave in an arrogant or haughty manner, coming across as conceited, boastful, and pretentious. Maybe a little, and that's where that spectrum is. Some people are worse than others when it comes to this disorder. As far as the disorder itself, it's worse in others than it is in some people. Insist on having the best of everything. For instance, the best car or office. That's not always the case, I can tell you in my experience. But everything else we read above those two things, absolutely, like to a T. At the same time, people with narcissistic personality disorder have trouble handling anything they perceive as criticism. So if you've ever heard the term of thin-skinned, like they can dish it out, but they can't take it 100%. They immediately jump on the fence and they turn into a rabid dog and start, barking back, because how dare somebody talk to them that way or suggest something that way? How dare they? It's that type of personality. They can never say that, hey, man, I made a mistake. They like to get somebody with this disorder, just say that is almost impossible. They just don't believe in it. So they have significant interpersonal problems and easily feel slighted. They become impatient or angry when they don't receive special treatment. They react with rage or contempt and try to belittle the other person to make themselves feel superior or appear superior. That's a big one too. Belittling people all the time. Emotions and behavior, 100%. They cannot control their emotions. I mean, no control whatsoever. The slightest thing where they feel slighted, they immediately want to attack. They can't stop and reflect and say, well, maybe they were thinking this. Maybe I just need to have a conversation. No, it's not normally a conversation. It's, even if it starts out as a conversation, it quickly gets escalated because their emotions are out of control. They experience major problems dealing with stress and adapting to change. So we change a lot in our company. And when we provide the training in a structured way, plenty of time, I'm really flexible to make this change, and constant coaching to help make the change, but yet they still refuse to change. And it makes perfect sense. They feel depressed and moody because they fall short of perfection. They have secret feelings of insecurity, shame, vulnerability, and humiliation. 100%. That's true. So this is just the Mayo Clinic, and this is a disorder in my experience. This is something that you are not a psychologist. You're a business owner. And when you get somebody into your organization that's like this, you've heard of this before, and you've heard of it talked this way before, which is, having a cancer in your organization. And that's what this is. That's what it turns into. This is what, like, you cannot fix these people. That's what I want you to consider. no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you love them, no matter how hard you want them to succeed, you cannot fix them. And from somebody who wants to help people and is able to have empathy for people, and you want them to succeed and do good, it's really hard to accept, but you've got to accept it. And sometimes that means it's best that they move on, because you can't have that continuing to happen within your culture, within your company. And most oftentimes it happens for far too long. And in all instances that I worked in my company, it was far too long. And it's something that now, because of my experience, I'm gonna pinpoint these behaviors as quickly as possible and get it away from me, and get it away from my people, because my people are my people. I love my people. I love, that's my peeps. And these guys, we're fighting to win every day, and we want to win, and we might as well do it with a smile on our face and try to stay positive and have some fun. And it's really tough for these people to accept that. They talk a big game. They're going to call themselves a team player. They're going to call themselves, but the reality is they just belittle everybody on the team nonstop. So you cannot change them. This is a really important lesson. I hope you watch the entire video. Get them out of your organization. If you, my point is it's really hard, even with boundaries set. It's really hard to transform these people. They need help. They need special help. They need to go to somebody, sit down every week, and talk it out until they can start fixing what's wrong on the inside. Whatever's making them feel this way, and have the inability to care for others, and to stop belittling them, and to stop reacting, letting your emotions control everything about it. Like, the only way that's going to happen is with therapy. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Recognize this. If you've had somebody in your company in the past, or you have somebody currently in your company that you work with that is this way, it's time to get them to move on. Everybody in the organization is going to love you for it. Everybody in the organization is going to appreciate not having to deal with that anymore. If you have somebody that you feel like you're walking on eggshells around every day, get them out of your company. You don't need to feel that every day. It's amazing how much energy they're zapping from you. So when you get rid of them, it's amazing how much better everybody feels. So get to it, guys. You can't go make money negative with some negative person in your organization. So wish you the best. I hope you're not dealing with this, because it's an awful thing to deal with. And when you do talk to them, they might get better for a week or two, but then they just revert right back into their old ways, because they don't like to change. They resist change. So that's it, guys. Go make money. Boom.